what I'm talking about. This is what happens when people don't know who's making decisions for them, how those decisions are made, or what the criteria are. People start making up all kinds of things. And pluralism, just to do a corollary here, pluralism is a major focus of the conspiracy theories because we don't know what really were the issues. Because however many factors were considered that are beyond the two that we sort of thought were most important, student and faculty staff, whatever those other factors are, we don't know what they are. And as a result, the major conspiracy theories are that it was an attack on pluralism. So, getting back to the point, the issue is not who in particular did what or any one individual's integrity. The issue is governance, transparency, and really why the decisions were made. If we could be so privileged as to know, I'm sure it would go very far in helping dissipate conspiracy theories.
Well, I would try. I think those are important sets of points and ones that we're obligated to try to lift the curtain as best we can, to provide as much information as we can to try to relieve that tendency. And I think that's one of the reasons we want to be here. I think one of the reasons we'll try to be as candid as we can. I will say that it's been tough and challenging for us to respond to that for a couple of reasons. One of them is generally personnel matters are sensitive. We approve all faculty tenure too. We make all staffing and appointment decisions. We make a lot of personnel matters. There are policies of the college as well as Freedom of Information Act limitations on what we reveal in the context of a personal performance relationship. And we've had rough waters trying to navigate desire and the understandable interest for people to know a lot more and what the supposed limitations are on our ability as to what we said. That's not an easy balance, and I'm pretty sure we don't yet have it right, but that's been part of the difficulty from our perspective, with lawyers swirling all around us telling us what we can and cannot say. I also think, in fairness, some of the other thing that we have wanted to resist initially, and this might have been an error in judgment, but we really didn't want to be unnecessarily disparaging. I think that we had made an initial decision not to come out. First of all, we were surprised by the sudden resignation, and not that we didn't have that as a possible scenario, but we really thought that we had set up a process in which we would work together for how toward unfolding it to the college community. With the decision to take things more immediately, we're sort of scrambling on that front as to what to say. I don't relish trying to come out and prove my own worth by disparaging a good man, and so I've been somewhat hesitant. But we'll try to do as much as we can on that front. It's interesting because the woman over here brought up Bob Blair's email. It's sort of an example of the trap. If we are discussing deficiencies in the record in an effort to try to figure out what to say to the community, then we're, quote, picking apart the accomplishment. I mean, it's sort of inherently true that if we're going to say more why, it's going to be negative. Process. I always believed that process could be better. I do think it was better than some credit for being given for it. We've conducted a performance appraisal process every single year. The third year is more important because it's the final year of a contract term. In essence, we really didn't do anything much different than the previous years other than best practices coming from the college governing board recommendations that you should have a process by which you interview stakeholders and collect a sample of views confidentially from that community to inform your judgment. We shouldn't have called this thing a 360 because I think it sounds weightier than it was intended to be or what. That was the additional element. In September, we sent a letter to the entire college community outlining the process. It stated that there would be a 360, it stated that there would be a performance review, it stated what the timing was likely to be. It also stated expressly that it's important for us to hear comment from faculty, alumni, students, and staff. And we tried to create a separate public email and address channel that would come only to us in order to get comment. I will tell you, we got thousands of comments through that channel, and a lot of them are faculty, and a lot of them are students. We assigned 2 board members to make sure that every single one of them was read. And they were all read. In addition to that, I personally have had a number of meetings with subsections of faculty who asked to see me about the process, and I've taken every one that I've been asked to do. Certainly could do more, but I certainly tried to make myself available for those who wanted to have that, and the students did the same thing. I've also received department letters from various councils of the school who made a decision to have their voice be known. All of that did go into our record. The timing, which I think is tough, happened in part because of a mutual agreement between us and the president. In the summer, the president had said to us he really wanted to know what the outcome of next June's result would be as early as possible. For 2 reasons. If it was non-renewal, he wanted the options for the opportunity to look for another presidential opportunity or future employment, and that he wanted as much flexibility in that as possible. And if it was for renewal, he wanted the cloud lifted as quickly as possible. Those are both legitimate requests and ones that we would have agreed with. We were always committed to trying to do that. The 360 was completed in early January, and he was given, as he should have been, an opportunity to respond to it before we took any final action. So we had the complete record only at the moment in time of mid-January. And it was his expectation and the board's expectation, and I would say a fair number of the community by virtue of the fact of huge number of students who showed up at that particular meeting, candlelight vigils the evenings of our decision. I think it was fairly widely known that to a lot of communities this was the meeting where something was likely happening. And when we reached our decision, we told them at the earliest possible time. I think we could certainly take on action items of how you would make that particular process more transparent. But I also think you'd have to be guided by the importance of protecting the confidentiality of someone's personnel record. Gene made a choice that a lot of presidents wouldn't have made, which is that they'd rather leave and say why. But if that were a president who were interviewing for another opportunity, say the chancellorship at UNC, I think they would be very, very disconcerted if we were releasing stuff like that into the public domain. So I accept the criticism. That's the process we employed, and we're committed to learning more about how to make it better.
You have a follow-up? Briefly.